Welcome. I'm really glad that you've decided to journey through this study. Whether you're reading this book on your own, walking through it with a small group, or returning from a mission experience that stirred something in you, my hope is simple: that this journey would help you see God and His mission more clearly. Beyond the Project was written to help connect moments of obedience to a lifelong way of living. Not to add pressure, not to rush decisions, but to help us align our lives with what God has been doing all along. And that's where we begin. This book is built around a simple conviction. Mission is not an activity God occasionally invites us into. Mission flows from the very heart of God. Before there was a church, a commission, or a sending, there was a God who desired to make Himself known to all people in all places. Chapter 1 begins by lifting our eyes beyond individual experiences and grounding us into God's larger story. If we want to understand our role in God's mission, we first have to understand God's heart. Mission does not start with us, it starts with Him. Here's the central idea of this chapter. God's mission did not begin in the book of Acts. It begins in Genesis and runs all the way to Revelation. The Bible is not a collection of disconnected stories. It's this unified story of a God who is moving toward the nations. From the very beginning, God's purposes were never small or limited. When God created humanity, He blessed them and He sent them to fill the earth and reflect His glory. And even after sin fractured that relationship, God's heart remained the same. And when God called Abraham, He didn't just promise to bless him. He said, through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. From the very beginning, God's plan was global. As you move through the story of Israel, the prophets and the Psalms, you see it again and again. God revealing Himself not just to one people, but for the sake of all people. Israel was chosen not to be a destination of God's blessing, but a conduit. God's heart has always been outward facing. When Jesus enters the story, He doesn't introduce a new mission. He embodies the mission that has been unfolding all along. Through His life, death, and resurrection, Jesus makes a way for people from every nation, tribe, and tongue to be restored to God. The Great Commission is not a shift in God's plan. It's the continuation of it. And the story doesn't end with sending. It ends with gathering. In Revelation, we see a picture of people from every nation, tribe, and tongue worshiping before the throne of God. This is where history is headed. God's mission moves from creation through redemption toward restoration. This chapter exists to help you see the bigger picture, to recognize that when God invites us into His mission, He's not asking us to start something new. He's inviting us to participate in something ancient, ongoing, and deeply personal to Him. Your obedience is caught up in a story much larger than you. As you read this chapter, read it with wonder. Let it expand your understanding of who God is. Let it reshape how you think about His mission. And let it remind you that God's heart for the nations flows from His love, not from obligation. Don't rush this chapter. It sets the foundation for everything that follows. And if you're reading this with a group, take time to linger in Scripture together. This is a chapter meant to be read with open Bibles and open hearts. God reveals His mission most clearly through His Word. As you begin this journey, my prayer is that you would see your life differently. Not as a detour from God's mission, but as a place where His story continues. The God of Genesis is still at work today, and the vision of Revelation is still unfolding. And you've been invited by God's grace to take part in what He is doing. Let's begin.